about? Let's talk about Bitcoin. So what were we looking at the other day? Let me just pull up all this shit that I was looking at. Okay, it didn't go up to where I wanted it for the short, did it? So let's have a look at that. Short lower high. Let me have a look at the short lower high. There it is. Didn't get that. Where's that long SOS? Oh, that was from before. Okay, so we can delete that. We'll keep the short. Ah, we have an SFP there. Once, twice. Plus these brush strokes. Let's get rid of these. That's the SFP. That's the something. I can't remember. And that's the something else. All right. So what I want to do first is update the volume. And then I'm going to have a look at the order flow. So let me just hide all of this. Okay. And I'm using the fixed range volume profile. And I'm going to have a look at the volume. Did I lose it? There it is. Not much change. The local value area low is slightly lower. No real changes there. Let's have a look at the higher range volume and see what that looks like. Nah, not much difference. So it's quite interesting because what happened is that the price came up to the point of control and was front run for a rejection there. That happened just now, basically, almost. Tried to get back into the value area, couldn't get back in, lost the low, and then a market sell. I'm going to have to look at the order flow to see what's happening. Let me just update that so it's correct and delete those. And okay, I'm just getting appreciation of that. Let me have a look at the weekly time frame candles as well. So I said that so if you remember, I said on Friday that this candle was a bearish candle. This one. I can't draw properly. For many reasons, but the main reason was a swing failure of the all-time high. And it just looks like a really bearish candle, doesn't it? And what we have right now is follow through on that bearish candle. Let me have a look at the volume. I mean, the weekly candle hasn't finished yet. It's slightly decreasing volume. Yeah, okay. Let's have a look at the daily candles. So you have a bullish engulfing here. That's your bullish engulfing candle. And now we've come back to test the beginning of the bullish engulfing. We have a swing failure of these lows. And we have a red weekly candle there. And how many days left on the 3-day candle? 1 day and 3 hours. Okay. It's trickier. It's not easy, is it? It's not easy when you're looking at the charts because you're trying to imagine where the price is going to go and how it's going to move. And right now, like, it's looking bearish. But could this be a bear trap? That's the question. Usually bear traps are at the lows, where shorts get trapped and then they get squeezed to the upside. Is this in the lows? Well, it's in the low of this local range, but actually it's just underneath the all-time highs, so it's quite high. We've got this previous range here. We haven't been able to get back into it yet. We've had a swing failure there. All right, I'm going to have a look at the order flow as well. There's a bit of a lag here. So this drop here, look at those liquidation bubbles. You got two big purple, pink, purple liquidation, another one there. Oh my God, there's a lot of shorts that came into there, didn't there? Increase in OI. This was a long close, and then you got short centered. Shorts closed. Some longs closed. Short centered, longs entered. The CVD, see the CVDs going up. So you're putting higher highs on the CVD. Here towards the tail end, like where the price is now, the CVD is kind of going up. And you're putting slightly lower highs. So you're getting slightly bearish CVD locally. And then if I go a bit further out to look at the range, you can see the CVD's clearly put in a lower low. That was really bearish. So I don't know if you see this. I'll show you. This CVD going up. See how it's pushing up, pushing up, pushing up, pushing up. And you see how the price is just going down and down and down and down. And then you're putting in lower highs. So that's bearish CVD divergence. And so what was happening is that you've got big limit shorts which are absorbing the market buys, and it's preventing the price from moving up until eventually there's exhaustion on the buying, the market buying, and then crash. It's really bearish. That's really bearish order flow here. This is really bearish. And so there's no longs. No longs while you have bearish order flows in play. I would say you wouldn't long this just because the order flow is looking really bearish. And you clearly can't short this because you're at the low of the range. We have a range here. That's the range high. This is the range low. You can't short the range low. You can't long it because the CVD is bearish. There was a long to be had. It was the initial swing failure off that pivot, but it's finished now. That's done. So that long is played out. And then whoever took that swing failure would have taken profit by now. They'd be in a risk-free trade. So unfortunately, it's looking bearish. Unfortunately, what you have got on the higher time frame is you've got the all-time high. You've got, this is your higher low. That was your lower low. That's your lower high. That's your lower low. We're actually just, that's bearish market structure now on the daily time frame. Because what's happened here is you've put in a lower low to put in a lower high to put in a lower low straight away. Yeah. Do you see that? So you have a market structure change confirmed to bearish. So in effect, this was your higher low. That's your all-time high, which is your higher high. It went down to take out that low. That would be a lower low. So you've gone from a higher low to a higher high to a lower low. This becomes your lower high just simply because you've just taken out this low again, and that's confirmation. That's a market structure change confirmed to bearish. So we're in bearish market structure now. To change that, what we need to do is we need to go up and take out that high. That would be a higher high, higher low, and a higher high. And that would be a change of market structure back to bullish. Effectively, what we would need is an inverse head and shoulders pattern to form here to change that structure back to bullish. So right now, the market structure is pretty bearish. Order flow is bearish. This isn't looking good for Bitcoin at the moment. That being said, we are coming into this previous range. We haven't entered the previous range yet. And so you've got the value area high of that local range there. You've got the value area low, and you've got the point of control. I'd be interested to see what happens here. Does the price manage to get back in, or does it find support off this previous range to take out that high? It's possible. And then the other thing I wanted to look at is the CME. Where is it? Have I lost that? No, it's here somewhere. There it is. Let's have a look at the CME gap, see where we are. So you can clearly see that on Friday, the price closed at whatever that is, 117235. And so that's where the gap is right now, 117235. I'm going to mark that off now. Look at SPs. Basically, I'm gonna have to refresh this because my chart has gone funny. One more 7235. So we have a gap on the CME. CME is the futures market, which closes on Friday, reopens on Sunday night. I mean, typically when you get an open, the price goes all the way back to test to fill the gap before another rejection, typically. So I would actually think that there is a chance we do go up to fill the gap off this weekly close for continuation to the downside, because we are in bearish market structure unless we can take out that high, and that's going to be the test. So probably I would say on weekly close we'll probably grind up to fill the gap. Maybe we take it out, maybe we don't. If we don't, then it's a lower high and you're aiming for the lows again. And if you do, then you put in a higher high, and then there's a possibility that we can change market structure again back to bullish. I would say that's probably the highest probability on weekly close. And if you see these single prints that I had marked out, you see how the price came in to touch my single prints perfectly. That happened not so long ago. Look, 2 hours ago, look how it came down perfectly to touch my single prints. Yeah. You have a really nice reaction there, to be honest with you. So even though we've put in a lower low here, we have a really nice reaction. And potentially it's going to come and form support off this previous value area. So let's just kind of go back to the order flow now. I just want to see if we've created any new single prints. So let me just do that right now. I'm going to have to refresh this again. Another day of trading view and exo charts. Oh, look at that buying tail. What's that one? Massive buying tail there. There's your single prints. I'm going to write these in chat so I can mark it on my charts. 113.082 to 113.554. And then the other one is 113.918 to 114.266. I'll have a look at my other charts as well. Give me a second. I think. Let's have a look at this one. Basically the same block of single prints. You see that? It's all in one block. Okay, go back to the order flow. Yes. Not really. Very slightly bearish CVD here. Very slightly. The big bearish CVD was across this previous here where it's consolidating. So we have the single prints. And then the other thing I wanted to just check, which I haven't done, are these daily points of control. I think I've got them marked out. 117620. That's the daily. Yeah, I think I've got them marked out. Monthly. All right. So let's go back to the charts. Let me pull them back in. Delete that one, that's gone. That one's been hit. You see that? 117. There must be one up there. Yeah, I didn't add it. Let me just go back to the order flow. Not the order flow, the chart, the XO charts. One 17640. Got that? And paste that in chat. Okay. So I think we have an idea now of what's happening, don't we? Not yet. I'm just going to figure it out for us in a second. Give me 1 second. Let me just add these values. Naked daily point of control. 17640. Okay. Shit, there's a lot of resistance there, huh? Let's put the single prints in as well. I'll just do the whole block. 113.80082 to 114266. All right. Perfect. So you can see we've created single prints and the price is stuck at the moment. We've got a CME gap higher up. And then we've got this naked weekly point of control, naked daily point of control. We've got the local point of control. We've got some more single prints. So there's really strong resistance higher up. Really strong. So probably if there's a chance, let's have a look at the Fibs as well. 50 Fib CME gap. I don't even know if we're going to get up to that big resistance, to be honest with you. But honestly, there's a very easy short somewhere there. And I think the entry would be possibly, it's a tricky one, but possibly a swing failure of those highs. But you might also get a lower high, and that's the thing. And this is the tricky thing about the entry. Ideally, you want, and we may not even get up there because we have this kind of trend line that's now formed off these last two pivots. You can see that. And we may not even be able to get up there. We might even just go up to fill this gap potentially and reject for a lower high here off that kind of intermediary trend line that's been forming. And so even though this is the best place to short, just simply because of all the confluence of liquidity, I don't know if we're going to get up there. Yeah. So usually what you want to see is you want to see that CME gap filled. If that happens, there'd be a short, but it doesn't necessarily mean, like, we'd have to see what happens here. Do you take out these pivot highs for a higher high here? And so effectively you'd be looking at this, something like that, take out the highs, and then who knows, like, it's just good areas to short. I don't know if I would long right now, just simply because of where we are. We've lost the local value area low, we've got bearish CVD, we've put in a lower low for market structure to bearish, and we've created single prints above the price here, which is naturally going to resist the price if it tries to go up. So, you know, possibly, honestly, it's hard to know exactly what's going to happen, but possibly there's a, if you get a reaction here, there's possibly a short right there as well. Sometime in the morning. That's assuming you get this kind of price action, which is going horizontal, then a little pump up into your area for a reaction. So you have to wait for the reaction. Otherwise, you have to let this play out and go for a short at the right place at the right time after you see the right price action, which would be up there at the local point of control. Just got to be careful, because once you go up there, then you're back into the range, and actually that's considered bullish to get back into the range. And so you, and also to get above this trend line. Otherwise, we're just going down there. This is shit. This looks shit. And if it looks shit, we might either go sideways and then down, or like I said, it might go up and then down. And we might not find a reaction here. We might just drop. I don't know, really. Who knows? Don't really know where to long, because we've had a massive rejection, haven't we? Probably the golden pocket off this point of control, this previous range here. And then what you're looking for is you're looking for the price to react. You need a reaction first. You get the reaction, you have a local invalidation. Once you get the reaction, you have a local invalidation. And then maybe in a context like this, you could break that steep trend line. And then maybe in a context like that, you could be going up, back all the way back up to the golden pocket, which would also kind of correspond nicely with the strong resistance, which is the local point of control here, and all these other liquidity lines that are all lined up. That's assuming you go down here to find a reaction somewhere around here. And in that sense, in that case, what you would want is you see a reaction, you see a break, whatever, all the way up, and then reject. And so it's the same idea, but it's probably more likely something like that. For a really nice short into the golden pocket on that area of Confluence after you go down into the golden pocket here, into this previous range, and hit the point of control. And possibly you don't go down that far, to be honest with you, just looking at this. Possibly what happens is if you do get a reaction and you break, you might just come back in to retest the value area high, I don't know, before you go up into your resistance. And so you're kind of looking at these areas for a reaction, and then you could take a long. Otherwise, you just kind of have to watch and wait and see what happens. So possibly the first one is sometime in the early hours. If you get a reaction like that, goes up and it reacts, then you could probably take a short there, aiming for the golden pocket here. If you get a reaction off the golden pocket, you could take a long, and then you're aiming basically back up to, I mean, you have to break that line, otherwise it doesn't work. Because if it doesn't break that line, guess where you're going? Back down. And And then you're looking for, realistically, the big short would probably be something up there if you manage to get up there, to fill that CME gap as well at the same time. It'd be a pretty nice short. That's kind of where I'm at right now. Let me have a look at higher time frame levels. So now we're really messy because we have a lot of lines. There's a daily level in the value area low there, just underneath the golden pocket, into the naked monthly point of control. So this is the thing. This might actually go lower. And actually, the lower the better. But you do need the reaction. Reaction is really important. It's the same idea. It's just you're going lower. And the reason why is because you have this daily level and this value area low and this naked monthly point of control there. Kind of in the lower part of it. So this is actually a better area to long. Lower down. But the thing is, you've broken through the point of control of the previous range and this golden pocket. And so it'd be tricky because you could easily kind of react and then still find resistance to continue. So I think possibly I would like to see this steep trend line that I've just created of these two pivots to break, to be comfortable with a long. Or you have to go for the furthest level of Confluence. And here I think probably this daily level value area low and this naked monthly point of control is the better place for a reaction. And then you're just going back up to the bottom of, you want to break that line, and then you're just going back up to test, fill the gaps, etc. All right. So it's looking quite bearish right now, unfortunately. Let's just have a look at the price. Look, the price is still going up. So these can be quite deceiving because the price goes up and you get bullish, but you have to look at the order flow to see what's actually happening. The volume's a bit low. Yeah, nothing really. So probably bearish. Just because you're under the VWAP and daily open and you've had this drop. It might just go sideways for the rest of until daily candle close. Let me have a look at some other things quickly. I'm going to have a look at Bitcoin dominance. See what's... Wow, it dropped, huh? Look at that. That's interesting. Big dropper, and then it's finally coming back into... So that's quite interesting because that kind of tells me that maybe Bitcoin is actually trying to find support somewhere. Let me have a look at BTC and ETH. If you're here for the first time, say hi. If you've come back, say hi. I like to chat. I can see there's a few viewers. It's nice to have viewers because it means like I'm actually doing something constructive. ETH BTC. I mean, it's really bullish, isn't it? Yeah. Doesn't look like it wants to stop anytime soon. I feel like it's still like, you look how close we are to the golden pocket there. Why would we not go up there and to hit the golden pocket? We're so close now, huh? So I do feel like we're going to go and hit the golden pocket. Defage, hey, let me guess, you're here for TRVL. I've got my Dtravel hat on. Oh, it's got a little bump. What is that? Got my Dtravel t-shirt on. I'm ready to represent here in sunny El Salvador. I'm here with my friend Eduardo.
Cheers, guys.
He wants to learn how to trade. I don't know if anything's helping him. I'm rushing through this.
No, actually, you explained very good.
Oh, you think so?
I like it. No,
I appreciate that.
Makes a lot of sense.
I appreciate that. So right now we're coming to these single prints on Bitcoin. That's natural resistance. Yeah, that daily level and that single print gap fill would be the first place to find a short. If it goes up now, it would still be a good place to short, to be honest with you, because you should get a reaction off a gap fill if it goes up now. Just have a look at the order flow again. There's some shorts are closing. Look, shorts are closing. Shorts closing. Shorts closing. There's a few longs opening, not many. We've just put in a higher line, higher CVD. No, we haven't. Still lower. So I can't see anything crazy. It's coming up to the VWAP. So yeah, I would argue that I would just wait to see what happens next. We've come above the selling tail here. What session is this? The close, session close. So we're kind of trying to fill this first gap here. You see that? This first single print. And then there's a second one as well. And so naturally, what happens with gaps is that once you fill them, the price moves really quickly to fill the gap. But then when it fills, it becomes either resistance or support. And so that's what you have to be aware of. And so when you have these gaps, it can fill very quickly, but then on the other side, it becomes in this context, it would become resistance. Technically, it would become resistance. It's a bit trickier. It's a little bit tricky today. And the other thing I wanted to just say, and this is really important, I'm going to hide all this shit. Let me hide all of this. I think it's also quite important to see how the daily candle closes today. Not just the weekly, but the daily. Because if the weekly closes strong, and when I mean by strong, I mean if the wick is bigger than the body, that would be quite a strong close for a bearish candle. And you have the same idea of the daily candle. If you get the wick, which is really strong, buying tail, which is bigger than the body. And we don't know that yet because we still have 2 hours and 24 minutes until daily close and weekly close. And so this candle is being printed as we speak. It closes in just under 2.5 hours. And you're going to get a weekly candle print and you're going to get a daily candle print. And in this context, the wick matters and the swing failure matters. Yeah, it really does. And I'd like to see what happens, how it closes, because I think potentially this could actually be quite bullish just because of the swing failure. But I would like to see a strong close. Yeah, for me, this is actually, relatively speaking, weak because the body is so big compared to the buying tail. What I want to see is a really strong buying tail. This is better. The daily time frame is a better. In this context, it would be a better close just because you have a strong buying tail. But again, you've got 2 hours and 23 minutes until weekly close. And so it's hard to know how this is going to print. Yeah. And it's very similar to this one. So I just want to show you, see this candle here with this long buying tail? And you see what happened? It went up. It's quite a bullish. It's a bearish candle, but it was bullish because it was a liquidity grab from all of these lows. And you had such a strong buying tail. And in a sense, you have the same thing here with this candle here. See that? And so even though they look really bearish, they can actually be quite bullish if you have a really important swing failure. Even though the market structure is bearish, you have to realize that, again, this could quite easily go up to reject to go down like that. Yeah. So there could be a bear trap here, only to lead to an actual lower high in the correct place to continue going down. That would look terrible, because that would look like a head and shoulders pattern, wouldn't it? Some kind of head and shoulders pattern. And then if you do get that kind of head and shoulders pattern, you're basically looking to go all the way down to here. And then the only way to long, if you get a head and shoulders pattern like this, would be to reclaim the neckline. You'd have to reclaim the neckline, and then you could long. Otherwise, the most likely scenario would be another rejection, another lower high for continuation to the downside. Yeah. So it is starting to look like a bit of a head and shoulders pattern here. We have to be aware of that. But I do feel like we probably need to go up first before we go down in this context. I don't know if we're just going to go straight down. All right. So that's Bitcoin. Any questions? If not, I'm just going to go straight into the next token, which is TRVL. And then I'll have a look at ETH and Bitcoin. Actually, I could have a look at ETH BTC now. So let me do that. Let me just kind of go bigger picture. And so the question is, when is alt season? That's what's in everyone's mind. You could argue that alt season is here because look, ETH BTC is pumping. But at the same time, I've been talking about a specific condition which I'm looking for, okay? And I'm going to show you now. If you go to the weekly time frame, if you have ETH and ETH BTC side by side, and I've talked about this a lot, and we're going back to the previous bull market, and basically I'm looking at ETH and I'm going, where was the best place to buy ETH? Well, here, wasn't it? I marked it out. See that? Here, and then you had a couple of other opportunities as well, like here, this back test of the neckline. If you compare it to ETH BTC, this drop here corresponds with here, doesn't it? That was the best place to buy altcoins, ETH. And look where ETH BTC came in. This is what I've been talking about. ETH BTC came in for a pullback to the golden pocket. You see that? And it held a support. You can see that it held a support because you've got these wicks, these buying tails. It came back for another test. If you look at the next test of the golden pocket on ETH BTC, you can also see that that was probably on ETH. It was probably a good place to long as well, because the price never came back down. It just went up after that test here. But the reality was, coming back into the golden pocket was the best place to long. And it's the same idea. You've got this massive swing failure, which was kind of the signal. And then after that, the price just went up and up and up and up and up. Okay. So I'm kind of, in my mind, I'm looking for the same thing now. And it's tricky because we haven't found our pivots yet. Let me just delete this stuff here. Oops, wrong one. So I'm just thinking, if this comes back to the golden pocket, I'm not assuming this is the pivot because I don't know. If it was, it's not likely, but if it was, to come back into the golden pocket, you'd coming back down to there, find support. That would be the best place to long altcoins, because ETH BTC has come back to the golden pocket and found support. It's possibly more likely than not that we go up a little bit more here. It's just a possibility. I'm not 100%. Maybe up to this 236. It's a tricky one because you kind of want Confluence. You want it to come back to the golden pocket, but you're also losing this point of control. And that changes things a little bit. Because when we actually found alt season here, the price was underneath the point of control. You see that? So the price didn't have to contend with the point of control. And this point of control is a big point of control. It's like the overall price action point of control, extending back to the beginning of this pair on Binance. So it's a really important level. And ideally what you want is you want the price to find support from the point of control, not to lose it. So what do you think? I think probably we go up. What is it? 24th of August? Maybe we go up again, huh? One more week. That's what I'm wondering. I'm wondering if we go up. And maybe we don't come, I don't know. I don't know if we come back to the golden pocket, because last time it did. I wonder if we come up and just come to the 50 fib for a long off the 50 fib, off the point of control. And the key is to find support. And so we have to find out where support is. But we've had slightly different conditions from the previous market. Because if you look here, we've kind of run, haven't we? We've run, we've running, and we're running. Whereas here, we didn't really run, did we? It kind of ran and then kind of consolidated, and then it was a lot slower. Whereas now it looks like we're going up like a rocket ship, doesn't it? And looking at this candle, this weekly candle, it doesn't look, that's not a topping candle on ETH BTC, is it? Just like last week wasn't a topping candle, just like the week before wasn't a topping candle. And looking at the daily candle, at the moment, this isn't a topping candle either. Yeah, at the moment, we haven't created the topping candle or a topping pattern. So in my mind, I think this is probably still going to go up, which makes me think that BTC probably is going to go up. That's what I'm thinking. And so I am wondering if we do get some kind of bear trap here over the course of the next week. But it may just do what I was saying to begin with. It may just be just to get a proper short at the right place, which was what I was imagining. A short in the right place, not just kind of this, whatever this is that's happening now. And I don't know if we're going to go lower or if we're just going to kind of go sideways and up. No one really knows. But it's good to just know where the good places to long and short are based on reactions, based on where the price reacts. All right. So that's kind of my Bitcoin update for today, tomorrow. I think I'm probably going to look again at this chart on Tuesday. All right. And I'll post it. I'm still doing Tuesdays, Fridays, and Sundays. If something happens and there's like a crazy update, I might just jump on and do a live stream tomorrow. But otherwise, if it's just going, sometimes it's good to look away from the charts and then come back. That's kind of where I'm at the moment. And then when it comes to alt season, we have to keep on looking. Huh? But when you look at the BTC dominance, let's just have a look at it again. It looks pretty bearish, doesn't it? We've lost that big trend line. We're losing the golden pocket. If you remember when I started streaming, we were up here and I said this is a bearish pattern. Back on the 6th of July, I said this, losing that level there was bearish. And since then, whenever it was there, it was here. Since then, BTC dominance has dropped 11%. Back in my first stream on the 6th of July. When I returned, it's always possible for this to just temporarily pump and then dump again. You know, like no one really knows what's going to happen. Just because it looks bearish doesn't mean it can't go up. It's just food for thought. And then the other thing I like to look at is USD dominance.
Harmonics.
I am looking at a bullish harmonic here. If it comes into the right place. But that's way in the future. That's December. I'm just looking at these local kind of candles. Kind of messing around with this point of control area. Let me check this crypto cap. Oh, that didn't work out. Sometimes you draw things and they don't work out, so it's always good. Let me just update this volume. Oh, wow. There you go. Look at that. So the point of control has actually moved up. Is it? Yeah, it has. Look at that. Point of control has moved up. And the price, or should I say the percentage ratio on these USDT combined charts, we're at the point of control right now. I wouldn't say we're finding support just yet. Looking at it, looking at how the price is reacting here, it doesn't look like we're finding support just yet. This 3-day chart candle was a bearish engulfing. You see that? And now we're getting the first 3-day candle pullback off that bearish engulfing. And that was a bearish engulfing on the daily time frame, and we've just had the first pullback. So I wouldn't say that we're finding support. If it's possible to kind of find support, then yeah, then maybe this is finding support. But otherwise, it looks like we're washing the point of control. And the more you wash it, the less important it becomes in the context of finding support, because you've washed it, you've washed it, you've washed it. You're clearing the liquidity from the point of control. So actually, eventually what happens is you just keep on making lower highs, which is what we're doing, lower highs. And eventually what you do is you drop again. So I kind of think that's still the highest probability outcome, even though currently when you look at Bitcoin, you're going, shit, it's crashing. What should I do? Yeah. And you just have to wait for your trades to play out. So you wait for lower, for a reaction further on, wait for a short, or you wait for a short higher up, and then you just have to wait and see what happens, basically. All right. And then if it doesn't happen the way you imagine it, you don't take the trade, you just redo it, and you just create a new idea until you finally, the price matches what you're imagining for the future, and then you have a trade to take. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. So you don't, if it doesn't happen the way you're trying to imagine it, forget about it. You just move on. Yeah. You have to be really systematic and unemotional about trading. Yeah. You can make 1,000,000 trades, but what matters is the reaction. Yeah. It has to react correctly in the place that your area of interest.
What time frame do you look for reactions?
All the way down to 30 minutes, 15 minutes, even 5 minutes. Yeah, and reactions are like wicks. You get these wicks. That's what you're looking for, a reaction. So you see here, it came down to the 50 fib. See that wick? That's a reaction. So if any...
Be a confirmation.
Well, it's a reaction. And so if someone wants to long, they have a very easy invalidation. That's your invalidation, yeah, because you've had a reaction. And so if you're longing now, you have it's a wide invalidation, but it's an easy one because you have a reaction off a level of, and it's a perfect reaction. You see that?
Yes.
That's a perfect reaction there. So you know that that's support. It's holding a support, and therefore you don't want to lose support. So if you have an invalidation there, the price comes down, you're stopped out because you're not expecting if you're longing, you're not expecting the price to go down. So that's why you never move your stop loss. Because if you're longing, you expect the price to go up, but you can only long when you have an invalidation. You only have an invalidation when you have a reaction. Does that make sense?
Yes.
The more you see it, the more sense it makes. Right, so I think that's Bitcoin for now. It's a shame, because ETH was pumping. Look at that. It was almost at 5,000. What the hell? Look at that. It almost... Did it take the all-time high? Did ETH take the all-time high? Shit, I think it did. I think ETH just took the all-time high. Let's have a look on CoinGecko. Does it say? 3 hours ago. Look at that. All-time high. Shade on the $5,000. Wow. So we've had a swing failure. So actually, that was your short on ETH. That's a swing failure. So I'm in two minds actually now, because that is... It might take a few weeks or days to play out, huh? But you've basically got a rejection. And it's not a swing failure, it's a failed auction. And actually, look, we actually took out the all-time high on Friday, didn't we? So we took out the all-time high. We came back up to test it. Came above it. Rejected. That's a failed auction. So we've taken out the low there. Full fib. Maybe back up to test the previous all-time high. Golden pocket. For a reaction. For a short, actually. And it's a tricky one, these shorts, because if you don't get... You need a reaction, otherwise you have to have a stop above the all-time high. Yeah? But if we are seeing a rejection from the all-time high on ETH, then guess where we're going? Yeah, so you can actually get quite a good trade just off the pullback here with a stop loss above the all-time high. But ideally what you want is a nice reaction, golden pocket, then you have a tighter invalidation wherever your entry is, and then you have a much higher risk to reward trade that's like a 1 to 11 if it goes all the way down to there, just on a tighter invalidation. But you have to see the price react, maybe to claim it and then lose it, like a claim and a loss. So you've got a very specific area here. It's like you claim it, but then you lose it, and then you can short with an invalidation right above the current pivot, the local pivot. Then you have a, and in here you can risk your 0.5% or 1%. And then if you hit your target down here, you can make 1 to 11. Usually in a trade like this, you would take profit at the local lows first, and you'd probably take 2/3. But from a position like this at the all-time highs, you might not. You might take less, just because it's in such a pivotal position where the price could actually go down much faster, much lower, quicker. And so from an all-time high, you might just take 20% or much less, just to cover your trade, just to make sure you don't lose money on your trade. Because that's how you make money. And sometimes you can go all the way down if you get the right kind of price action. That's a 1 to 13. It's a 1 to 13 trade. Yeah, for $1,000 you make 13,000 off that trade. Yeah, but you have to wait for those trades. But this is actually looking quite bearish. I hate to say it. Let me I don't want it to be bearish, guys. I want it to be bullish so we can go up. All right, I'm gonna have a look at TR.